Welcome, everyone. This is the Pocono 500, presented by New Track Record Podcast. I am Derik Vance, and joining me here with me as well, Dave is here. He's going to be behind the scenes, making sure everything sounds as crisp and clear as possible. Like I said, this evening we are in Pennsylvania here at the Pocono Raceway. Like I said, the Pocono 500. We're going to be bringing you some qualifications here shortly, and then after that, obviously, we're going to get this race underway. As you see the temperature on screen there, track temperature, what we're looking at weather-wise for the day. So we're going to have, it looks like a field of potentially, which I find very hard to believe, but potentially 45 cars, 45 open wheel cars in today's race. We'll see how qualifying shakes out before we get underway. But thank you for taking time out of your day here, obviously, to join us. We're doing obviously, as we've touched on here, it's going to be radio call only. So hopefully you'll be able to sit back and enjoy what we're going to bring you here from Pocono. As the pace car takes the field and the drivers are rolling out of pit road.
I can run down the grid for you if you want.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave, if you want to run down the grid for us.
All right, our pole sitter for tonight is Robert Maleska. Following him is Adrian Pinheiro, Kevin Burrell, Rodrigo Franzoni, Beto Sousa, Jesper Orman, Chris Wilhite, Colin Kolpa, Ryan Schold, Andre Rigon, Deb Alexander, and Justin Fortner round out the top 12. Eric Troiano, Nick DeGroot, Hunter Smith, Jacob Weist, Chad Simpson, Butch Davis, Don Hunter, Chris Walker, Chad Frankenfield, Zachary Flaum, Oscar Coveney, Tim Robb, second 12, Chris Simmerd, Gal Ritter, Mark Murphy, Jeremy Miller, Hanley, Justin Wadsworth, William White, AJ Hobson, Greg Forsyth, Chris Webb, Robert Smith, and Gavin Hibbs. And rounding out the field is Victor Del Porto, Mark Rebelis, Matt Quick, Grant Johnson, Alan Stover, Michael Bourne, Michael Hossack, Joe McAdory, and
Thanks, Dave, for that. Definitely a star-studded field here as they follow the pace car around here for the next few. Well, I guess not. As the pace car pulls off there, we're going to go 2 by 2. As the field sets, you see the green flag drop, and we are underway here from the Pocono Raceway as we dive down into turn number 1 with the Robert Jessica getting a nice jump there as he starts out the race as the race leader. And we see a pass potentially going to come down here in this corner, as it is Adriano Pinheiro overtaking the lead as he passes for that top spot. Single file right behind Pinheiro as Pinheiro dives down to the bottom of the track. Robert going to stay high. Pinheiro still going to lead lap number 1 as they come to the start-finish line. As you see, single file behind race leader Adriano Pinheiro. That first lap, which Pinheiro ran a 46.11. But as we were talking about that, we have, again, the pole sitter for the race takes back the top position as we are just underway here in Pocono. And as we say that, Adriano Pinheiro takes the bottom of the racetrack, and now he is back out in the lead. It is now a 2-car breakaway between Adriano Pinheiro and Robert Malcheski as Pinheiro extends his lead there a little bit into the front stretch. But as he tries to extend his lead, Robert passes him on the inside. So this could be quite a battle for the number 1 and number 2 positions early in this race. Is a 2-car breakaway. Again, Robert Malacheski and Adriano Pinero 1-2, and they have distanced themselves, Dave, a little bit there from the field.
Yeah, they pulled out to a little gap. Now, bear with us. This is our first time we've done a radio broadcast style. I mean, it's decent. Positions they've gained since the start. You know, the laps that they're on. You'll have the gap, which is the gap between them and the leader. And then the interval column is the interval between them and the car nearest them. You'll see their last lap speed. Purple is what they would set a new fastest lap for the race. Also see the best speed, so you can see their best speed of the race. PC is their pit count for how many times they pit, and it'll show a pit. PL is the pit lap. It'll last lap they pitted on, and their lap time. The right-hand corner is the event. You see all the events that happen in the race and fun. Then we have a trap map. I know that's a little hard to see, but we have a lot of cars on there. Gives you an idea. That's what we're able to legally give you visually. The rest of it will be Eric's up.
Yeah, we're going to try, like we said, the best we can here to describe what we're seeing on track as we are at lap number 4. And again, like we said, back and forth between Adriano and Robert for that top spot. And they've put a little bit of cushion between themselves at a 1.3 second lead that Adriano Pinero has over the rest of the field. And looking at some of the telemetry and data that we're going to be able to pick from tonight so far, through 5 laps, your leader that has gained the most positions is number 32, Alexander Region of BK Racing. He is up 4 positions, so what a start there for Alexander as he is up to position number 6. Again, as we look back up to the front there, it is Adriano Pinero leading the way, and then with a, I can't say a sizable lead.
As low now.
Yep.
Looks like they're going to just swap spots for a while.
Yeah, that's exactly. I think they're, none of these two right now up to the front, I think, are content with leading the race. When one takes the point, and it's Pinero, I've noticed, he has a tendency so far, when he takes the lead, Dave, Pinero can catch Robert, especially on the low side of the track. But after Pinero gets the lead, Robert has he can run up high and pass Pinero up there. So back and forth early as we've completed 7 laps here at the Pocono 500, presented by New Track Record podcast. I know Caleb Hatch and his co-host that do that. He's been on the Push to Pass podcast. Definitely great information. So if you're looking for an IndyCar podcast to follow, definitely give a listen to the New Track Record podcast. Caleb Hatch and his co-hosts do a tremendous job. Dave, back to the race again. Adriano being able to establish a little bit of a lead, but no lead safe here with Robert right on his heels.
Yeah, they're kind of, you look back through the field there, looking a lot of couplings and cars that are just working together. They're doing the same thing with these front 2 are, where they're just swapping positions about twice a lap. Sure, they get a good tow behind them, and then they're able to pop out and make the pass, and probably allows them to make better fuel mileage. And 500 long time here. Not sure what the fuel window is. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have that the numbers there right offhand. But we do have a third car trying to join this 2-car breakaway here. Jesper Orman is trying to catch these top 2 cars. He is about 1.5 seconds, or 1.2, almost 1.3 seconds behind. Then you go back to position number 4, Colin Kupla, who is 3 seconds behind. So a little bit of gap here that the front two cars have made for themselves as they swap the lead back and forth on lap number 9, going to complete here lap number 10. Dave, I don't recall, but how many laps are we going to be running this evening?
It's 500 miles, and Pocono is a 2-mile oval. 250 laps, right?
Yeah, if that math does sound correct, so 250 laps and
200 laps. Right,
200 laps. There we go.
2.5 mile oval.
Okay. So 200 laps. We are 10 laps in, and we've seen two different leaders. Adriano Pinero has had the lead for a handful of laps so far, but the pole sitter is a close second, as you see. Well, I guess you can't see, but there is a little bit of.
I think we're going to say that quite a bit for a while.
Yeah, that's something you got to get used to with this new open wheel racing. But yeah, the front two cars, like I said, opened up just a little bit of a gap from P3, and then after position 3, Dave, it's a bigger gap back to 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, Derek's view is based off of me. So Derek, I'll try to give you the field cars back in the field are a little better matchup here. This is Alex from the 32 car watching.
Yeah, we're watching that car there, and just looking at Nick DeGroot, number 89. If you're a Nick DeGroot fan, he has climbed his way up 6 positions since this race started to position 8. So he's got some ground to cover there in the number 89 motorsport.com entry there. But he is 8 seconds behind the leader, so he's got a little bit of a gap there to make up. We'll see how that goes. Just running through the field, some names I think people will recognize. You have Justin Fortner in position 11 in the number 26 entry right there. He is 10 seconds behind. And then just going back in the field a little bit farther, Chad Frankenfield, obviously that is a name that is well known. He is only up 3 positions since this race started in the number 15 entry. He is 13 seconds behind in position 19. So definitely Chad's got his hands full, Dave, this evening with all of the ground that he's going to have to make up.
Yeah, I think in the pre-race driver meeting, Chad said the words, "It's a 500-mile race." I think Chad is very well aware of the 500-mile race, and he's stay out of trouble.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the name of the game here as we're on the lap 14 is, keep your nose clean, stay out of trouble. It is a long race, and there's bound to be cautions and potentially people dropping out for one reason or the other. So just be patient, keep your nose clean, and see where that gets you towards the end of the race. Again, back up front, it's still it was Adriano Pinero, but again the pole sitter back in P1. We'll see how long he decides to keep the lead, or how long Adriano decides to pass him. He has a tendency, Adriano does. He's going to make that pass, as we just talked about, right there to the inside, and Adriano right back to position number 1. But looking back in the field, a lot of the lap times, I think, just looking at timing and scoring are very bunched together. Looking at lap times, the best lap time that I see so far was actually just Adriano Pinero running a lap of 41.55 seconds as he's back P1.
Oh, we're under caution.
And just as we talk about our first caution of the evening, Dave, if we can go to replay, well, at least we can describe replay, and let's see what brought out caution number 1.
It's going to be Oscar Coveney believe he's the car on the outside that we're looking at. Looks like the inside car of maybe Gavin Hibbs gets up into Coveney, and they hit wheels and go into the outside wall on the backstretch. Both cars go around. Then we have a secondary incident. Oh, big air. AJ Hobson, I believe, and Jeremy Millerin here involved. This is AJ Hobson, and he's in a very bright yellow car. He was coming up on the accident, and he picks a lane, tries to get through the debris, and then a car in front of Millerin just kind of swerves in front of him, gives him nowhere to go, up in the air, and that car flies through the.
Yeah, I would say that his night is through. But if we could onboard that car there, because if we could get the replay on the onboard, he really had nowhere to go. He picked the right lane. I don't think he obviously thought that the car that's going to send him airborne here shortly was going to slide down the track. It looks like, but for the overhead shot here, as you see, this is where things start getting chaotic. He had the right lane, but I don't think that right there.
Yeah.
If that
lane changed
if that,
by Millerin last
yeah,
second.
if Millerin would have stayed in the course he was on, the right here would have got out of it scot free. But unfortunately, that obviously wasn't the case, and it's going to put a fortunate end, I think, to not only this car's evening, but a lot of other ones as well. As we see the field coming in,
down pit lane.
Everybody's coming down pit lane after 17 laps. Let's see who has the crew here to get them out front, and it looks like, wow, what a gamble here. Chad Frankenfield stayed out. Chad Frankenfield stayed out. We've only ran 18 laps. I'm curious to see what, and Bill Conley stayed out as well. So Chad Frankenfield is your new leader, followed by Bill Conley. They stayed out. What a strategy! If this could pay off for not only Chad Frankenfield, but Bill Conley, if they can get if they can get some laps led and potentially get another caution to fall their way. What a turn of events early in this race.
They do have 12 sets of tires to use today. Everybody will be taking their first set. Chad will original set.
Yeah, definitely an early gamble by Chad Frankenfield to push him. Actually, looking at timing and scoring, that pushes him to P2. And I don't know how this is possible, but it's showing the timing and scoring, if you see up on your screen, is showing Matt Quick as your new race leader, even though it does show that he's in the pits. So maybe when they come back around, that'll shuffle him down. But what an early strategy call here by not only Chad Frankenfield, but Bill Colley with just 18 laps in this race. Everybody else, it seems like, for the most part, pitted as we run down, looking at the timing and scoring. Looks like the only cars, Dave, that may have stayed out, you see Chad Frankenfield staying out. Bill Colley, actually, I think he thought better of it. He just went in. Chris Simard didn't go out or didn't go in the pits either. Neither did Alan Stover, which I think some of these cars were involved in the incident that we were just talking about. But Chad Frankenfield stays out. The rest of the field, majority of the field, went into pit, and now,
like Bill Colley joined him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if this early strategy by Chad Frankenfield can keep him out in front, or with everybody, going in for fuel, going in for tires. Is that going to make Chad Frankenfield here a sitting duck?
Usually, I don't question Chad's strategy. He spent a lot of time. Probably got a point.
Well, it's we go back to as the caution's still out, the pace car's still out there. It's the old it's the old Mike Tyson quote. Everyone has a plan till they get punched in the mouth. So let's see. Hopefully, whatever Chad Frankenfield strategy was coming into this race. I know you said in the drivers' meeting he continued to stress how long this race is. It seems like to me he's kind of going against the grain, going against what he emphasized early by not being. I guess he's patient by not coming into the pits. But will that strategy pay off? As we see the pace car still out there on lap 19. We just had two different incidents that brought out the first caution of the day. I think what looks like incident involving maybe Matt Quick, Gavin Hobbs, Oscar Coveney, Jeremy Millerin, AJ Hobson, and Victor Del Porto. As the pace car bends off into the pits, you see the driver or the flagman up on the stand, and we are back underway with a new race leader, number 15, Chad Frankenfield, is going to bring them down into turn number 1.
So, Derek, just one little nuance on the way we do IndyCar races here. Even though the pace car pulled off in the sim and we saw a green flag, we actually extend the yellow one more lap on control of the lead cars. So we are still currently under yellow. They'll go green when Chad brings them. They do that just so they can avoid some of the oddities of the iRacing green flag, pass low or high on the.
Okay, just to clarify, this is open wheel, not the IC as Dave eloquently pointed out there. This is open wheel, or I think it's okay to the Dallara model cars. So just to clarify that. So pace cars is off track. We should be getting the drop of the green flag to get this race back underway here shortly. But just coming back, we did have our first caution of the day. About a half a dozen cars were involved. And if you're just joining us, Chad Frankenfield, his pit strategy, whatever that's going to be, we're going to see if it's going to pay off here as they snake down to the start finish line. Frankenfield already in lap 21 has gained 20 positions as he did not pit, and the rest of the field did as he leads them down into turn number 1. So definitely going to be interesting to see how Chad's car handles with tire wear and everything, and everyone else being on new tires. As Adriano Pinero was right on the back of Chad Frankenfield, and while he was doing that, pole sitter of the race, Robert Malcheski, drives deep into the turn to take the lead. But just to say that, as the race has shown us early, Chad Frankenfield reestablishes himself in position number 1, which may not last for long, as Robert dives down to the inside of turn number 1, makes the pass, clearing himself with Chad Frankenfield, and now Robert back in P1. We'll see how long that lasts, as we've noticed jockeying for that first position has been relatively regular between a handful of cars so far. Now we have Chad Frankenfield joining the melee here as they jockey for position, and no one can consistently put a hold on that top spot. As we have another car just spinning off right before we get to the pits. I don't know if the caution is out, Dave. I don't know if you caught that, but when everyone was snaking down to the start-finish line, I did see it. Must not be a yellow flag.
We're
maybe
still green. We're still green.
I thought I seen a car jump down into the pit area out of control, but I guess these old eyes are deceiving me. So we are still under green with the leader Chad Frankenfield as he.
Yep, I think he did. I think it was Brant Johnson here.
All right, like I said, I didn't see. Like I said, I didn't see the light go yellow, but I did see as the rest of the field was snaking down into turn number 1, a car really got out of control.
There you go.
As you see him getting sideways again, just losing the back end. Hopefully,
That's a
no
replay of that issue.
Oh,
Able to
okay.
go back and find it for you.
Okay, so yeah, you're seeing what I seen. Like I said, at least what I thought I seen there. So we're back live here. Chad Frankenfield leading the group down on lap 24, almost completing 25 laps. Adriano Pinero, who was up battling for the lead earlier, he has slipped a little bit to fourth. But the pole sitter for the race has kept himself towards the front there. Chad Frankenfield leading the pack, get a little bit of a separation there. We'll see if Robert's able to reel Chad back in as we you see him coming down and they're snaking. If you're wondering where you've seen this before, think about turn 4, coming out of turn 4 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That's the same technique that those drivers do. They snake down the front stretch right before the start finish lines. You'll see snake it again right here, just like this, as they cross the start finish line for the 26th time. Leader Chad Frankenfield, also, if you're looking at positions gained, Chad Frankenfield, he has not pitted yet, keep that in mind, but he is the top position gain so far at plus 20. So strategy early, Dave, paying off here for Chad Frankenfield. All right. Getting back here, like I said, Chad Frankenfield is still showing the way on lap 26 of 200. Just looking down, running down the field again. The quickest lap that I've seen so far, looking at the data up on screen as you see it, as well as obviously the race leader, Chad Frankenfield, with a lap of 41.60. He still needs to pit, so it's going to be interesting to see when that call is going to be made, because what was it? I believe lap 16 or 17. Not quite sure when that first caution was thrown.
18,
but the rest of the 18, okay. When on lap 18, when that first caution of the day was thrown, the rest of the field went into pit. But Chad Frankenfield has gambled, and so far, Dave, that gamble has paid off. On lap 28, Chad Frankenfield is showing the way.
Yeah, I'm working on something to try to get to the race control message. Give you a little more information. See race control test up there popping up. Get that to a place where you can read. That is me.
Dave,
I'm innovating as we go.
Dave behind the scenes, not only is he producing, not only is he giving his thoughts when asked, but he's also race control as well. a man of many hats.
I think actually Jonathan Cutlip is able to send messages.
All right, as they snake down the backstretch there on lap 29, it is Chad Frankenfield. Somebody else that has jumped up in that number 2 position, Jesper Ormond. So someone else trying to contend for the lead, but early in this race, one lap, under 30 laps, as we hit actually 30 right now. It is Chad Frankenfield showing the way. Frankenfield, Ormond, Malcheski, Pinero, and Region round out the top 5. You are listening to. I have to correct myself. Do we have a car? Do we have a? I thought I seen 2 cars off the pace there a little bit. I don't see the caution flag out yet. So again, maybe my eyes were deceiving me.
Go back here.
Yeah, let's go back to the replay here.
Gavin Hibbs.
And I thought I seen 2 cars a little off the pace here. Let's see what happens here to Gavin Hibbs.
I think he loses the back end.
Yep, he does lose the back end, but good thing for him,
No
he was
damage.
able to save it. Yeah, no damage, didn't hit any of the inside or outside retaining wall. He was able to get that car
Caution now, though.
turned
Caution
back
now.
around, refired, and we do have our second caution of the day. It looks like one car incident, but again, he was able to not only get that car turned around, but he was able to get that fired and put and back out on the track.
I think it involves Gavin Hill. Yep. He then got it back under speed, and then he lost it into the outside wall.
Yeah, he absolutely did. As Dave's showing us the replay here, Gavin lost it. The back end came out, and he was able to save it without hitting the inside retaining wall. And then he got his car turned back around, got it refired, and then a few feet later, looks like he just got a little high, hit the outside retaining wall, which sent him back down the track. The other cars were able to elude him. Gavin has made it into the pits, so we are on caution number 2 on lap 32. And Chad Frankenfield, again, who still hasn't pitted yet, is your race leader. P2, Jesper Orman. P3, Robert Malcheski. Position 4, Adriano Pinero. And then P5 is Alexander Regions. So while we're going through this caution, Dave, I think we have a commercial or two from a couple of great sponsors that make it possible for us to bring you this amazing Dallara.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We have 7. I don't know. Have an issue.
Welcome back here to the Pocono 500, presented by New Track Record podcast. And something interesting that me and Dave were talking about here during the break was Dave was describing to me how if you are a iRacing subscriber, how you can watch this. Dave, explain to the audience how they can do this.
Yeah, I believe if you log into iRacing, spectate, watch racing. You're able to find this it's usually listed under Elite, under League Races, and you can pull up and join in as a spectator. I think we have 50 minutes. You can then watch the iRacing within your iRacing interface, and then have our YouTube channel also in another window, and you could listen to our audios. There is a way you can see the action on the screen. We just can't live. But
yeah, definitely good stuff. It reminds me of the Fire Sticks when they first came out, and how they were going to get the Fire Stick jailbreak so they could get as many channels as possible. But good stuff there. So if you do want to, if you are a subscriber to iRacing, which I need to do that. I don't know how good I would, but if you're a subscriber to iRacing, definitely check out the cast, and you'll be able to see the actual racing on track instead of having me and Dave trying to describe it to you. But we are at lap 38 of 200, and we do have a new race later, and that quickly fades away as Jesper Orman is in the lead. But as you can see up on the timing and scoring, the pole leader, who has been up towards the front since the beginning of this race, takes the lead. And then just as I say that, Dave, Orman takes the lead back. During the caution, we did see that Chad Frankenfield did get his car serviced, so he was able to run about 33 laps, I believe, before he had to go in for service. So it's going to be interesting to see the strategy play out for Frankenfield. He was able to find his way back to the front, as it's been the theme so far in this first 39 laps of the race, Dave. It's been a 2 or 3 car breakaway, and those 2 or 3 cars that break away from the rest of the pack just can't ride behind each other. They got a jockey for that first position.
Yeah, and the field's kind of split now into 2 different strategies. Fuel-wise, we have about, it looks like around the top 20 cars are on fuel from lap 18 from their last pit stop. About the other half of the field stopped lap 33. So now we got about a 15 lap difference in fuel.
Yeah, so definitely, pit strategy is obviously going to play a role as this race plays out. As we see
on the backstretch. Oh, hard.
Yeah, as we see, as we're watching it here up on screen for you, and we'll try to just dissect this. The car in question here hit the outside retaining wall, which shot him down to the inside retaining wall. He is still going to this point. Major damage on this car. Dave, if you want to go back to the replay here, which will probably bring out the third caution of the day, go back to the replay here, and
I think we have a
witness.
new caution. We have a new caution with Tim Robb and Zachary Fromm. What happens here?
Yeah, still don't see anything as they cross the start finish line here. As we're watching the monitor here. Oh yeah,
he hit the wobbler down the inside, and he pulled back up from the outside.
Oh,
heavy contact with Zach Fromm. The backstretch.
Yeah, there's another car. Yeah, another car collected there as kind of an innocent bystander that doesn't help things out. But yeah, what the start of this was, it looks like
17 cars. Rob on the outside. He comes back down the track and hits the right rear.
Yep, and that car. And then his car shoots down the track and gets clipped once, and then really gets hit hard there in the left front tire, which sends the car spinning, sends the other car spinning. Heavy damage. I would say that's probably going to be the end for both of those cars as well. As we're on board here, let's see what.
So it's he dives way down to the inside to try to avoid it, and you would think 90% of the time he's going to be fine. He's way down low, but he had run out of room to go left. The side wall was there, and as Rob came down from contact with the outside wall, destroyed his car.
Yeah, Rob was trying to do everything that humanly possible that he could, but unfortunately, it's just not going to be his day, and that is going to bring out the fourth caution, I believe, fourth caution of the day. So pace car is out. Let's look at the field here. Pull the the guy that secured the pole, Robert Milcheski. He is back in P1, and then you have behind him Adriano Pinero, Rodrigo Franzozzi, Beto Sosa, and our new players to this race as well. Also, looking at the biggest mover currently is actually the number 45 car of Craig Forsyth, who is P11 currently, but he is up 22 positions. So he has definitely made up some ground here through 42 laps. As we take a look at the cars that have found their way out of this race, you have number 9 Bryant Johnson, Number 2, Zachary Pelf. Number 17, Pluff. Number 17, Tim Robb. Number 58, Matt Quick. Number 34, Michael Bourne. Number 95, Gavin Hobbs. Number 89, Nick DeGroot. We're unsure as to what happened to Nick. If he had to retire early, because we don't recall seeing him in one of the 4 cautions. So not sure why Nick had to retire for the evening. Number 19, Oscar Conovey. Number 57, Jeremy Millerin. Number 63, AJ Hobbs. And then the final car out, number 27, Victor Del Porto. So a handful of cars so far have had to retire on lap 43. And we've talked about during this race, it was you have to be patient because obviously there's going to be wrecks. People are going to have to take themselves out for one reason or the other. So hopefully someone is able to take advantage of the situation at hand. All of the cars seem like everybody's pitted. So obviously there's going to be different strategies going around here, Dave. But any other new features for this Dallara model series, radio style series that you want to touch on here on the technology side during this caution?
We got some things we've thought about. We may do some. Chad was talking about doing a recording of a lap around and give us a lap with Chad every race, so we'd be able to kind of talk through what he as a driver does as he goes absolutely drives it on the hit. So trying to give him and that there's not. We are going to, I think, add some corner announcers here, so we hopefully have a couple more people up in the booth with us for some of the races and be able to call the action. I've even heard that one of them was going to set up his view in iRacing, so where he only looks at one corner and he's only going to call what he sees. So that's kind of taking the realism to another level. We'll do what we can with it. We'll see. I know we have a great response from the drivers, so we had all these drivers that want to run something to try to broadcast something, and this is a pretty innovative way, and as far as I know, nobody else is doing this right now, so gonna do something to be the first, right?
Yeah, it definitely sounds like there are a lot of new innovations, new camera angles, new announcers coming down the pike. Can't wait for that for sure. We're at lap 44 of 200. We've had 4 cautions so far. We've had a handful of lead changes, and the majority of the lead changes, you'd have one car take the lead, and then maybe, I don't know if you even say a half a lap later or so, you would have the other car overpass, or one car would take the lead, and just as they gain the position, the car behind them would regain the position. So that the fight for the number one for that P1 so far has been interesting to watch, to say the least. Here as we're coming back single file, waiting for the. Looks like we're green to go again. So we're back underway here at lap 45 of 200 as they snake down into turn number 1. And showing the way has been the pole position driver. Started the race at the position 1, and again, just as I say that, Adriano Pinero takes the lead again. He's been up there towards the front as well. It's been it's been a 2 or 3 car race to the front so far, but hopefully there will be more cars. We see single file behind them crossing the racing stripe. Dave, anything you see here the first 46 laps that you're going to be paying attention to as this race unfolds?
I think for the most part, it kind of mirrors a lot of the back when we had the open wheel cars before. Same names seem to come to drivers. What they usually like to do is just stay away from other people and put in laps and out of trouble, have good pit stops, and really gets
Yeah, it absolutely does. Is you look at the lifetime scoring in front of you, and I'm sure people out there that have been paying attention to this series definitely see the usual suspect up there as well. But then also too, it's good to see some new name that that may be their first time in this on this series. So good to see them as well. I know people may be tuning in, hopefully maybe to see a specific driver, named RC Enerson. I think some news that came out this week that he may be a busy Dave, to say the least. Here, yeah, it definitely sounds like it's trending in the right direction. Sounds like he may be a little busy here for the next month, which we do hope so. If you're looking for RC at this race tonight, unfortunately, he is not competing, and like I said, he may have his hands full with driving this type of Dallara car, but more in a Dave, I think you would say a real life setting.
Yeah, definitely. It would be nice if he could come out for the Indy 500. I'm rolling calendars up on the screen for those watching. We go from here, I believe we go to Indy GP. And we'll have Indy qualifying the following week. That's always exciting, single lap qualifying. Then we'll have the Indy 500. Number of cars that have lined up to run close. I think it's going to cap out at 60 cars that are trying to get those 33s. Are definitely our crown jewel race.
Yeah, that'll be definitely interesting to watch, especially if you have the 60 entries for that particular race, and you only have obviously 33 entries, so you're going to have a lot of disappointed people, disappointed drivers that they weren't able to make that race. But before we get there, we are at lap 50 of 200, and you are listening to the Pocono 500 presented by New Track Record Podcast. Like I said earlier, I know being on the Push to Pass podcast, I have had one of the hosts of the New Track Record podcast, Caleb Hatch, on. Very informative, great listen. So if you're looking for a IndyCar podcast to listen to, again, outside of Push to Pass, remember that's going to be your number one. But if you're looking for a secondary podcast to listen to, definitely give New Track Record a listen, and I think you'll be very pleased with the information that you are able to pull from that. Speaking of, as we're watching the racing up on screen, Push to Pass, we put our podcasts out every Wednesday on social media. We record it on Tuesday, so be on the lookout every Wednesday, week of and week after a race weekend for a new episode to drop. I can say that we are working hard to maybe get some drivers. As I see the yellow flag,
caution
is out again. Do you have you want to go to a replay and see what we can find to bring out this fifth caution of the day?
I believe it's for Craig Forsyth here. See if we can. I believe he's the second car there, and then what we're looking at into the goes underneath another car, but then kind of backs off, and the other car comes up and clips him in the back end of the back right rear, sends him around. Then the two cars just mangle into each other. Not sure what was going on there. Can't really the other car. Allie is going to be on the 9 car. Brant Johnson, who I thought was out of the race, but he repaired and got back in. But he out now. But he clipped the back wing of Craig Forsyth hard. Both cars are very nobody else involved.
If we have it, do you want to? We can go on board with Craig Forsyth here if we have it, and see if we can describe to you the best of our ability. Like I said, I haven't been. I've been behind the wheel, not in iRacing, but we're on board here with Craig Forsyth. He's trying to make a pass down in the inside. Car looks good. Car looks good inside. It looks like he just gets touched in the back, and that's what sends him spinning and then hitting the wall and maybe taking him out of this race. Dave, what did you see on board there with Craig Forsyth?
Yeah, from a driver's perspective, what he's probably hearing is, as he gets ready to make the pass, as he's going to the corner, it'll say car high, car high, car high. And as he clears him, it'll go clear high. And at that point, he thinks he's he's in clear sailing, nothing to worry about. But he has no way of knowing that contact's coming. And once it does, it just him around. Just a total victim at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So it just adds. There's potentially two cars that I think are going to be they're going to have to find themselves either behind the wall or out of this race as we're on board with.
This would be the other car involved, Brant Johnson.
Right now,
He's
Johnson.
getting past. He sees the car go by, and he just kind of gets washed into the back of him, I guess, and probably wanted to tuck in behind him to get a draft, but he before he.
Yeah, that's what it absolutely looks like. Is Johnson was trying to tuck in behind. He kind of clipped Forsyth there, which sent Forsyth spinning, and unfortunately has probably taken both of them out of the races. We're back under caution again. So I would look for maybe some of these cars to come down pit road here at lap 53. Ethan Stanley right now is the biggest gainer. He is currently position 2. He has gained 27 spots since this race began. We do also have a new leader, currently number 42, Chad Simpson. So a lot of new names we're starting to see creep up there on the board. I don't know if this has to do with pit strategy or whatnot, but we talked about the strategy, Dave, and I'll let you go here. Of Chad Frankenfield, he did have he led some laps. Then our last caution, he went into the pits. Well, looking at the leaderboard, he finds himself 13th. So he is right up there amongst the leaders.
Yeah, Chad would be in the middle group. We now have three distinct groups on fuel strategy. The top 4 haven't pitted since get out under 2 caution. Second group came in on lap 42. That's started led by Alexander at 5th. That goes clear back through William White in the 17th. And then the third group is that group that was previous to leaders with Adriano Pinheiro and who just hit it on lap 50. 3 different strategies going on right now.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see with the different strategies that we're currently seeing, which one is going to pay off here at the end at lap 54 of 200. Again, it's Chad Simpson, Ethan Stanley, Butch Davis, Chris Simmerd, and Alexander Region are your top 5 with 54 of 200 laps completed. It looks like if the pace car is going to stay out for another lap, and it is not.
Duck in.
So
one more lap.
Yep, we'll go one more lap here, and then we'll be back under green. Chad Simpson, like I said, is going to show the way here when we get this thing back underway. Right now, like I said, we do have a handful of cars that are out of this race. Anywhere from looks like Matt Quick, Mark Rebelis, Zachary Pilf, Tim Robb, Michael Bourne, Gavin Hobbs, Nick DeGrood, Oscar Kovney, Jeremy Millerin, AJ Hobbs, and Victor Del Porto. So, unfortunately, Dave, as this race goes, that list is getting longer and longer. So,
yeah, have you looked out your window lately? I was just checking the weather. We are in the middle of this storm. So we are headed. It's headed to you, but it's still moving. Kind of odd for as windy.
I have not yet. So, we talked about this before we went on air. If I just automatically disappear, you'll know why.
Yeah, and if the stream automatically disappears, it's because I am west of where you're. So right now we have one power outage, but knock on wood.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen again, as the cars are going to go back to the start-finish line, and we're going to get this back underway with Chad Simpson, the race leader, and everyone else is obviously single file behind him. This is the first time I think that I've seen Chad at the point this evening. I know we've had a handful of drivers that have taken the lead, and just as I talked about that, we have another race leader that we can add to that. Ethan Stanley is now on the point, and he is also the biggest gainer so far, 28 positions in 56 laps. So Ethan Stanley goes to the lead, followed by Chad Simpson, Butch Davis, Chris Simyard, and Alexander Region after 57 laps. And just as we talked about Ethan Stanley taking the lead, guess what? Chad Simpson goes to the bottom side of the track and makes another pass for that top position. So, Dave, it's kind of a recurring theme here that we've witnessed through 57 laps. One car just doesn't have enough horsepower so far to stay out in front.
Yeah, it's going to bode well for the last lap. So the car that's in second is going to have the advantage, but he may not have the advantage for the entire lap. So you have to time it where you're going to get the pass out.
Yeah, definitely. This could potentially be one heck of a shootout here, as we've witnessed early in this race with so many cars, taking that top position. So I think you're absolutely right. Definitely something to keep watch here, as we are at lap 58 of 200 here at the Pocono 500, and we've had a handful of leaders, as we said, just touched on there, but we've also had a handful of cars that have unfortunately found their way out of the race. We've had 5 cautions so far, as well as Chad Simpson here trying to distance himself a little bit from Ethan Stanley. He's got about a 0.3 second lead over Ethan Stanley, 0.5 second lead over Butch Davis, 0.6 second lead over Chris Simyard. So Chad Simpson trying to establish himself as somebody to contend with here as this race moves forward to lap 200 in its completion. But as he tries to do that, Ethan Stanley slowly closing that gap. He's got it under 3 seconds now. So Ethan Stanley trying to find his way back to the point. But before he does that, it is Chad Simpson leading this race on the backstretch.
I think we know from Chad maybe they could get, if they hit it at 33, maybe get 60. Absolutely, or to be in their window where they're going to have to come.
Yeah, we noticed on first stint, and I don't know if this had to do with the caution or not, but it was about 18 laps or so. And then we did know that another group, and this was Chad Frankenfield, that he was able to stay out about 33 laps. So everybody's at least pitted twice We're at lap 61 here. Chad Simpson still showing the way by about 0.3 seconds over Ethan Stanley. Ethan Stanley is the biggest mover of the race so far in 62 laps. He has gained 27 positions. We've had a handful of drivers like we talked about that have been out in the race lead, but we haven't found one yet, Dave. I think that can consistently stay out in front, because it seems like whenever a car gets out in front, it may be on that lap or it may be 1 or 2 laps later that second place car is able to pass them. As we are finishing, go ahead.
I was going to say, for those of you watching this, the more innovation, you may be thinking strategy. That's not an image of a car. Maybe I can show that to you. I've been able to put a good strategy there and show them the stint length for 9 positions. That might be some data we can give you. Get that out for the track map, which will pull the seat as far as you can. Sure, it can't bring them up.
Yeah, definitely a lot of gadgets and a lot of gizmos that we're able to bring you, and definitely working on getting everything worked out, so we can get this radio call here as dialed in as possible. We're at lap 64 of 200 here at the Pocono 500, and Chad Simpson is showing the way. He is about 0.3 of a second lead over Ethan Stanley, 1.5 second lead over Butch Davis, 1.9 second lead over 4th place Chris Simyard, and 2.8 second lead over Alexander Region. So we're talking about the leader's inability to consistently put themselves out there, but it looks like rather that Chad Simpson has kind of established himself here the last handful of laps, that he can stay out front, and Ethan Stanley's having a tough time so far trying to run him down. All right, Chad Simpson, still your leader at lap 66. We talked about the strategy that Chad Frankenfield was on. Looking at the leaderboard, he finds himself currently positioned 10, so he has made up some ground. He is part of. There's 2 other pit strategies along with the strategy that he has. I know Dave touched on that a little bit ago, so it's going to be interesting to see which strategy, because we believe there's 3 different pit strategies out there currently. Which one is going to hit and put their driver on that the lead, give that driver the lead there on the last lap, as Chad Simpson just completed lap 67 with a time of 41.57 seconds. But that wasn't the fastest. Ethan Stanley behind him in P2 just put a lap down of 41.40 seconds. So taking a look at the data that's up on screen, Dave, Ethan Stanley, the quickest there on lap 66. All right, as they come to the line again here on completing lap 67. It is still Chad Simpson showing the way here, as he's kind of putting himself out there. He's kind of flexing a little bit of muscle for the Satellite Racing FBR racing team. This is the first that the races that I have called that I've seen Chad Simpson out front. So. Kind of fairly new to him, but nice clean race so far. He's keeping his nose clean like we talked about there, leading some laps, and it's going to be interesting to see if he is able, with pit strategy and whatnot, to see if he is able to keep himself out front here when we get to lap 200, which is obviously that money lap. Dave, anything wise? We're about 70 laps into this that we can that you've noticed that we haven't touched on yet.
Well, sorry, I can't be of better service to you voice wise. This is just kind of what these races are. They're long, full length races. They settle in, and after we get the cautions, it just kind of settles in and runs. Interesting. Ethan Stanley, it's good to see him up front. I know Ethan runs every series that Elite runs, like Chad does. Been real competitive in a lot of the series. Well, we ran the Formula One series that we ran. He ran Cup, Trucks, Infinity, bit of everything. Finished second in the ARCA series. Out of the race. Bidding. Those four bidding now.
I do see that. Ethan Stanley and Chad Simpson are coming in, so it's going to be interesting to see what the rest of the field decides to do. I know it seems like there's 3 different groupings that are on a different pit strategy. So the 2 leaders did decide to go in here on lap 71. So that's going to turn the race lead over to Chris Simyard in the number 37 FBR Motorsports entry there at lap 71. So he sounds like he may be coming in too, and it looks like he's going to have somebody else coming with him as well. Not only is Simyard coming in, but it looks like Butch Davis is going to be following him in as well. So that's going to turn the lead over to Jesper Orman. So we'll see how long Jesper decides to stay out before he comes in. The biggest mover of the race now, looking at this, is Mark Murphy in the number 69 entry, who has gained 24 spots. That has put him to P3, and don't look now, but just sneaking in the top 5. One of the race leaders from earlier that's on a different strategy, Chad Frankenfield at lap 73. So, going to be interesting to see how long Chad is able to stay out with everyone else off on a different strategy.
They should be due, if the numbers work out, they should be about 10 laps, 9 to 10.
Yeah, so we should see more cars, as Dave just said there, come in here in the next handful of laps. So, we may see a new leader, as we do see number 32, Alexander Regan, is the new race leader there at lap 74. And just as I say that again, as we've seen throughout the rest of the race, Jesper Orman takes the lead back. So no lead here. If you're the top spot, if you're the top dog, Dave, unless you're Chad Simpson, no lead is safe.
No, you really give a toe to the car behind you, and they're able to pass you at ease.
Yeah, that is absolutely for sure. As we see Alexander Regan take point again at lap 75. And again, just as I say that, Jesper Orman takes the lead back. So it looks like we're going to have, the leader there got a little loose as they're running into to some slower traffic. But a little bit of a wiggle there from the leader. Running into that slower traffic. What a mess, Dave. That could have caused, but it was avoided.
Yeah, it looked like they dove down behind the lap car to try to get a toe off of him for a little bit. Closing speed kind of took. by surprise there.
Yeah, it absolutely did. Good thing those drivers were able to avoid that because I can't imagine how many cars, as close knit as they were, that would have taken out if that wreck would have happened. But it didn't. They were able to elude it. So we race on here at lap 76 of 200. Jesper Orman in the number 60 entry is your race leader. But just as I say that, I see Alexander Region closing in on the back door there. But Jesper's was able to get a little bit of separation. He has a 1.2 lead over actually second place now Mark Murphy. As I see Alexander Region dropping, so he just went into the pits. So he's going to have to race his way back. But Mark Murphy, who's gained 25 positions in 77 laps, is P2. He is he has 1 second behind Jesper Orman. So Mark Murphy trying to get to the point there, and maybe he'll be able to lead a lap. As I say that, he dives in along with Chad Frankenfield. So Chris Whittle is now up to P2s. We see a lot of movement there on the timing and scoring with cars going into the pits and whatnot. So definitely, Dave, after all these pits are over with, this thing is definitely going to shake out and look a little different than what it does now.
Yeah, looking down through there, we've got some of the lower cars that were on that same strategy and been pitting. Like Kevin Burrell is pitted. Chad Frankenfield has dove into the pits. Well, Seb Alexander's. Some of those initial cars that were in the 42 lap range have now all made. Colin Culpo's the last one. Coach Adriano Pinheiro back at the race. Be about 12 cars that are on that same strategy that came in after that group. Usually we do around there. Oh, Pinheiro spins into the wall.
And that's going to bring out a caution, and that's going to definitely take out some cars that were up on the up in the lead. Let's go to the replay and check this out.
Yeah, Pinheiro was running in the lead here. He got on the rumble strips down there. Yeah, he definitely got down in the rumble strips in that corner, and it kind of upset the car, and the back end came around. And he came out in front of, I believe that's William White. Yeah, William White was following him through the corner. He was about 2 cars back, and he sees the car going loose, and he decides to go high, but Pinheiro just comes up the track into him and pushes him into the wall, and both of those cars are probably done for.
Yeah, what a tough break there for Adriano Pinheiro. He has been running towards the front all day.
Looks like we may have had a car that right here, a red car that was sliding through. May have got damage as he was. As they came through the turn, Pinheiro slides up, going to the outside wall, and there's the space between. But I think there's a red car that's going to slide through. Got contact with the wall. He did. I don't know who that is. It didn't tag it. to pick it out, but we had a third.
Just the one thing that we were hoping that everyone would avoid, and now this is really going to, I think, change strategies for people because we just got done hitting, everyone got their service, and now Dave, this comes out, so this could be a huge change in the race here.
Yeah, it really collapsed those two strategies back together. The cars that had just come in at lap 78, still probably about 10 or 15 of those, but then the rest of them came in at 81. Not much of a difference. Have two that are holding on out the front. Joe McAdory, who's our leader, and Bill Colley, who are staying out, that last pitted on lap 50. So they would be good for another 4 or 5 laps, but stayed out to lead the lap. Oh.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to change. It's going to change the complexion, I think, of this race for sure.
I think we're joined in the booth by one of our other voices. Johnny, got me?
I got you. How you guys doing?
Welcome to the fun. This is different.
I'm excited. I'm excited about the Elite Open Wheel Series this year. Excited to join you guys. I know I came on board, for about an hour and a half during the Retro 500 a few weeks ago, and I had a lot of blasts. And I sent Chad a message and said, I'm interested in joining this, and you guys give me the opportunity. So we're gonna have some fun. I plan on being here. I've actually planned on being here tonight, but some time constraints limited me. So I'll be here for around 50 minutes to an hour, and then plan on being the NDG or the GP, and then the big race coming up in a few weeks.
Good deal. We're glad to have you.
But before I joined you guys in the booth, I was watching a little bit of the race and just saw the leader. Looks like he lost it going down. Might have hit the apron. I don't know what you guys saw, but it's a tough break for Pinheiro.
Yeah, as we were watching the replay, he did get down on the rumble strips there and just kind of upset the car, and the back end went around.
The other thing I'm really excited about is get to know, I come from the stock car world when it comes to elite racing, and I don't do a whole lot of open wheel. And it's going to be nice to get to know some of these guys that participate just by looking at the leaderboard. Chad Simpson. I want to get to know Chad. Ethan is strong in everything he races. Jesper, Butch, Alexandre, Kevin. I don't know any of these guys, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to get to know them, especially when we head to Indiana, in a few weeks to see who's strong. Because typically, Pocono, in the real life side, Pocono can relate to the big one in Indiana.
Just curious, Johnny, you may have just joined us, but in 82 laps, 83 laps now, anything that stands out to you so far in this Pocono 500?
One thing that stands out to me, I haven't caught too much. I don't know how many cautions you've had, but in the stock car world in Pocono in iRacing, typically there's a lot of cautions, and it's surprising because the track's so big. But I'm looking at, you guys got 29 cars in the lead lap, big field, 45 drivers. That's humongous. But the amount of guys on the lead lap caught my eye. I thought there'd be more, bigger crashes. I don't know if you guys, I haven't watched, like I said, that much, but I don't know if there has been a big crash, but I'm surprised there's that many guys in the lead lap.
Well, I believe, and Dave, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we're either caution 6 or 7, and the last one we just had out actually did take out a few of the drivers that were in contention for the win. Specifically, Adriano Pinheiro was taken out. He's had the lead a handful of times so far in this race. So I believe we have 6 or 7 cautions. and this last one was really devastating, especially obviously for Adriana Pinero.
Yeah, looking back, it looks like I would have thought we had 6 or 2, but looking back at the screen, we've had 5. Yeah, the first caution we took out Coveney, Hibbs, Hobson, Aaron. That was our biggest wreck. Then we had another single car crash with Gavin hit yellow. We had the one that Rob that got involved, and single car with the side. Adriano Pinero and that green.
Yeah, so we are back green here at lap 84, and we do find that Chad Simpson rather, has found his way back into P1, but he definitely has some stiff competition behind him. I know Ethan Stanley has found his way up to P2. He's hungry for a win, and then obviously someone else we've talked about, Jesper Ormond, is P3. He's led some laps here this evening as well. And then don't forget Chad Frankenfield, who's been towards the front early in the race, went off on pit strategy. He is in the top 10 currently, position number 8. So definitely a lot of cars still in contention. We still have, like I said, we're at 85 laps of 200.
One thing I've already noticed, guys, you guys can probably help me out here. Nobody's running typically the same lane. Is that because of the aerodynamics here, the push factor? Pocono, you never see cars. Right now we see first, second, and third, all 3 lanes. That's something that I haven't seen. Is it all about the aerodynamics and the cars getting so pushy when they enter the turn?
Yeah, I think as you go through the corners, they like to be able to get out from behind the car in front of them to get that air on that front wing. So need the air on the front wing to be able to get you down. Then they'll dump in behind as they go down the straight and go to be able.
Yeah, so we are lap 87. Good stuff there. Jesper Ormond is in the lead. Ethan Stanley, Chad Simpson, right there, 2 and 3, nipping at his heels. Johnny, you were talking a little bit ago, talking about when NASCAR runs on Pocono.
Yeah.
Is there as many lead changes on the NASCAR side of things as there has been, I guess I should say, on this event this evening?
No, not at all. I'm seeing, the cars are starting to spread out right now, but the draft factor is huge in the open wheel side. It's unfortunate, with the stock car side that aerodynamics does kind of play more of an effect. These cars. And that's what caught my eye is these cars are in the inside, the middle lane, the top lane. The cup cars you can't run the top lane. You'll be pushing up against the wall. Even the middle lane, it's very, very difficult to pass. The next gen cars have made it a little bit easier. Now back in iRacing, let's just say 5-6 years ago, when the cars had a lot of horsepower. You could save your tires a little bit in a run here at Pocono and work your way through the field, and it's a lot easier to pass. But now you're kind of just stuck where you are, and track position is king.
Okay, so for the listeners that that may be new to iRacing or have never participated in a iRacing event, walk through a lap that these drivers are taking now as they're hitting lap 90 of this Pocono Raceway. Awesome.
Yeah, well, I think the leader here, Jesper, I apologize if I screw up his name, Jesper Ormond. He's sitting pretty right now, and he's just looking in the back of his rearview mirror or his see the open wheel side is a little bit different. His left side mirror, and he's seeing if Ethan's going to come around, and he's going to try to block that air. The guys in the back, just from my limited IndyCar experience, there's so much dirty air, especially when you're second, third, fourth, fifth, or mired way in the back, 10th through 20th. So you're constantly trying to get that clean air. For me, it was just always hitting my marks. These guys were so competitive, and they still are extremely competitive. So it's a one slight error, mistake, just like Pinheiro had a few minutes ago. Your day is done. So the Indy cars, what I've learned is it's constant thinking. Physical side, not too much, but the mental side of this race car is it's pretty stressful.
You said that you have a limited experience when it comes to driving this Dallara model here, is we're at lap 92. You want to talk, if you can, the difference between a open wheel entry like we're seeing here this evening, and then the more experienced on the NASCAR side that you have, the difference in driving?
These things I would, if you don't have iRacing, these are like go-karts, and everybody can relate to that. Everybody has a rental go-kart track around them, within an hour to 2 hour vicinity. The steering is a lot easier. It's a lot quicker. The slightest movement, the cars are going, whether you turn left, whether you turn right in the open wheel car. With the stock cars, compared to a open wheel car, it's a school bus. It's pushy. You get in the corner, you push, typically center of the corner. The car tends to free up a little bit, and if you have lots of horsepower in a stock car, it'll get loose on exit. These things, going back to the open wheel, are planted. They're planted to the ground. The speed is the biggest difference. Obviously, I mean, these things are running. Jacob, I'm mired back here in the pack watching these guys. In the 18th place, Jacob Weiss ran a 41.90. That's not even close to what the Cup cars run. They're in the 52nd bracket. So these guys are cooking. So the difference, I'd have to say that the main difference, obviously, speed, and then the grooves they run. The Cup cars are planted to the bottom. You typically can make a run. The only time you can go in the middle lane is the tri-oval, like you see, or like nobody sees. We're in the radio style, but the tri-oval is where you can make your pass in the middle lane. Where these open wheel cars, they're running 2-3 wide everywhere.
Definitely a lot of great insight there, and for people that are wondering, what the difference is, I think Johnny just hit the nail on the head when it comes to this Dallara model entry here to compared to the NASCAR style car that I think is more adaptive driving.
It's going to be fun to learn. I'm excited to be with you guys. Going down for the I think after the GP race and spending 2 weeks getting ready for the 500 is going to be really cool. This radio style broadcast, I'm sure you guys have talked about it a lot since you guys have started, but it is definitely different. I can't wait to hear you guys call the race. I told Chad I want to be like the Chris Economaki of the open wheel elite series. I want to be everywhere. I want to float around. I want to get to know drivers. I want to interview them. I plan on being here quite a bit. I love the oval side, but the GP next week, I am interested in seeing what happens there. The real life side, the races tend to be pretty exciting. Cup cars or the NASCAR side, not too much over there, but I'm excited to see what this series has.
Yeah, definitely glad to have you bring another perspective. I think obviously I can't touch on not being behind the wheel of a open wheel car or being behind the wheel of the car. So definitely glad to have you. We're at lap 97 Jesper Orman, as we see a car spin out car going around and around and around as it hits the inside retaining wall. Dave, you got a number and a replay on that.
Yeah, it looks like that's a 32 car of Alexander Rigon. Take a look at the replay here. He's making a pass down the backstretch here. And as he takes it inside for the corner, I think the back end's just going to come around on him. Fortunate enough to not take out the car he had been passing. And he's going to hit the inside wall backstretch. It's going to be a single car accident, I hope. Everybody's going left and right of him. Going to be all right.
Yeah, Dave, the first, the only 2 accidents I've seen so far today, it looks like the guys are clipping the apron. You see that a lot in Indianapolis. But the apron seems to be the Achilles heel for some of these guys.
As we're going to ride on board here with Alexander Rigon, Johnny, what can you add to this here?
Well, these cars, how planted they are, they need a little bit of banking, and Pocono's a flat track. But when you get that apron, the offset is so extreme. You see Alexander come down there, and he just hits that yellow strip. And iRacing is extremely realistic, and in real life, the paint typically adds grip. But if you go a little bit left of that paint, you're going for a ride just like Pinheiro did and just like the 32 just did.
Like the top 19 are in the pits now.
Yeah, definitely going to shake things up as we see, like you said, a handful of cars come in for service. So we're getting close to halfway. We are at lap 99 of 200 here at the Pocono 500, which is brought to you by New Track Record Podcast. As we see cars coming out of the pits and cutting it just a little close there as they come out and get to that restart finish line there. Dave, I don't know if you want to go to, I know we've played a set of commercials since we're just getting out of the pits here into the caution. Do you have another commercial or two lined up?
Sure.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back here to the Pocono 500 presented by New Track Record podcast. Definitely check those out. Check them out. Huge thank you to them and all of our sponsors for making it able for us to bring this radio style call to you as we are back underway at lap 102, and we have a new leader as we shuffled through the pit strategies. Chris White is the new leader there at lap 102. So some new faces showing up there on the leaderboard the deeper we get into this race. And the reason for that is, and I'm sure Johnny can talk about this as well, is just every race, it seems like, is a war of attrition, and being patient and trying to keep your nose clean. And if you're able to complete all of those tasks, then you may find yourself towards the front, Johnny, like some of these drivers that may have started in the back over 103 laps ago are now slowly finding their way to the front.
Oh, that's for sure. Chris Wilhite is no stranger to the front. He very successful, I do know, in these open wheel cars. But going back to the race of attrition, the race of survival, if you're battling for points, if you want to be successful, if you want to have a top 10, finish in the standings, and you're a 15th to 25th place driver, these long distance races should be right up your alley. It's all about surviving. If you survive a 500 or 400 mile race, I would put your odds of finishing the top 15 extremely high. As you're starting to see some of the drivers get picked off, we have 28 drivers in the lead lap compared to when we started with 45, and we're just halfway through the event. So, if you're a guy like Bill Cawley, Joe McAdory, Robert Smith, Alan Stover, if they just stay in this thing, they'll work their way up 10th through 15th, and that's a great point stand. It's a great start to the year.
It absolutely is at lap 105. We're starting to see, like you said, some new names emerge, and that's obviously due to some of the other cars that were running towards the front earlier in the race. Unfortunately, have had to retire or have gotten into a wreck. Adriano Pinero is one that comes to mind, but looking at the biggest jumpers of the race, the biggest position gainers at lap 105, that goes to Ethan Stanley. He has jumped 25 positions. He is currently finding himself in P4, so he definitely has a good run with about 94 laps remaining here. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's able, like you said, everything to keep his nose clean. And he's been towards the front for the majority of this race, obviously gaining those 25 positions. We'll have to see if he's able to make it there on the money lap, which is going to be lap 200.
Just saw car number 6, Justin Wadsworth, pounded the wall coming off of turn number 3, going down the long front stretch. Seems to be running at speed right now, but he did take a big smack and fell all the way back to the 23rd position.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how much that'll affect aerodynamics and such with 93 laps to go. What a last lap there by Eric Troiano, 41.53 seconds. But running a little bit quicker than him was position 5, the number 4 car there of Ryan Schold, running a lap of 41.51 seconds. So those cars behind the leaders there slowly trying to pick their way to the front. The leader has about a 1.2 second lead over Jester Orsman, a 0.4 second lead over Mark Murphy, and then it falls off a little bit, a 2.2 second lead there over Ethan Stanley. So trying to build a little bit of a gap there at the top. The front 3 cars there, as you see, are as we see up on our screen here, there is a little bit of a gap. So the more I would think, and Johnny can probably talk about this, but the more those front three cars run single file, that's just going to stretch their lead out even more.
Yeah, it's smart. It's smart by Chris, Jesper, and Mark. I don't know if they're doing this on purpose, but you don't want to get racing side by side. It just breaks up the draft so much, slows these cars down, and then pretty soon Ethan and Butch will be catching you. But right now, I'm interested to see if Jesper is just kind of being patient in second, because you saw him battling for the lead earlier, and now he's just sitting behind Chris, somebody that we haven't seen up front. So I don't know if Jesper is saving fuel. I know with 90 laps to go, if it was me, I'm sure all these guys, they're a lot better than me. They're probably paying attention to that fuel window. Maybe Jesper saving fuel, maybe Mark saving fuel, letting Chris kind of be the rabbit and all these other guys be the dog. But one thing I do want to add, Butch Davis, I love that paint scheme. It almost looks like an STP car. I don't know if it is or not, but Butch Davis, really, really cool paint scheme, and he just made the pass on Ethan Stanley for fourth place, as Ethan's going to come back on the inside.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're talking about there with the livery that Butch Davis has. It definitely gives you the old Richard Petty number 43 STP feel to it. Absolutely. The front three cars there have built a lead over Ethan Stanley, over Butch Davis of 3.2 seconds. Can you talk about, and again, I don't know if you can or not, but how many of the top three there, Chris, Jesper, or Mark, how much experience they have here at Pocono, and how much of that is going to come into play?
Well, I do know that Chris has a lot of experience in the open wheel cars. Every time I have participated in a race, Chris has been in it in the Elite Racing League. Same thing with Mark Murphy. Mark is a very experienced open wheel driver. Jesper, like I mentioned earlier, I don't really know Jesper that much. Obviously, he's competitive. He's been up front all day long since I've joined the lobby. So these guys, when we were talking, I think 2 laps ago, Butch Davis was 1.9 seconds, or Ethan was 1.9 seconds, 2 seconds behind, and they were battling, and they were breaking up the draft, and they were slowing their speed. Now they're 4 seconds behind. So I think these guys, they know what they're doing. They're just kind of riding around. It looks like, if you could see at home, it looks like they're trying to pass each other in the turns as they're kind of going low, middle, high, but down the front stretch or the back stretch, they're not making any moves. They're just drafting and trying to pull away from this pack.
And as we look back here, you see that the top 3 cars have a 4-second lead over Butch Davis and that envoy. What can Butch Davis, what can Ethan Stanley, Hunter Smith and company, what can they do to try to cut in to the gap that these 3 cars out front here have established?
Get single file, and it seems like that's what they're doing. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a line of, I think, 10 or 12 guys in there. So if you just stay single file and try to get a sniff of the draft, you may be able to catch them. But right now, they're losing time every single lap. The difference now, 4.5 seconds, 4.5 seconds. Chris and Jesper are doing something right, and they're starting to pull away from Mark now. So now it gets to the point, I think tire wear does come into play after a few laps on the tires, to where the draft doesn't matter as much. So Chris and Jesper are sitting in a great spot right now.
I guess that's why we're not seeing, as we've seen earlier in the race, positions 1 and 2 would continue to flip flop. Now you're seeing Chris and Jesper basically, right around on a Sunday drive, and they're both kind of hooked in. Said they're pulling away. Mark is almost 1 second back there, but he is definitely holding his own, looking at the gap as it just does fall to 1 second. So maybe it's in Mark's best interest to maybe let the group positions 4 through 10 catch him a little bit, so he can maybe pull them along and try to run down the top two?
That's a plan. But Mark being 1.5 seconds back, Butch Davis in fourth being now almost 5.5 seconds back. I think Mark is okay with where he's at right now. I'm seeing fourth through ninth separated by almost a second. So if I'm Mark, I really don't want to get mixing up with those guys in fear of getting in an accident. As we're seeing, I think, a car coming on pit road right now, a few cars.
Yeah, we do see at least one car, as you see, coming down pit road here. So maybe trying to, as we see two cars now coming down pit road. Maybe this kind of breaks up the monotony there a little bit, or maybe this does have to do with whatever strategy that these cars may be on, because obviously if we go caution free, which I think is that may be tough to do. What do you think, Johnny, right now, looking at, we got lap 117 of 200, maybe one more stop?
I'm not, extremely familiar with the laps and on how much they can go. I mean, you're looking at 82 laps to go right now. I don't know when the last time Chris pitted. I'll have to look at that. That was Chris Wilhite, the leader that did come down pit road to make that stop. Chris right now is by himself with no help. Whether that be beneficial or not, I'm not sure. But I'm going to look at Chris's last time he pitted, and I'm going to check to see if they can make it on one more stop.
Dave, I know you're the mathematician over there, and I know you've probably started crunching the numbers already. We got 1 to 2 stops left.
Yeah, looks like Chris Wilhite was able to go around 30.
Maybe he's crunching the numbers a little more.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I had you muted in Discord, but I wasn't muted in the broadcast. They heard me. So Chris came in about 37 laps on that. So he would be able to get double that. It would be 74 short. Just a little short. Maybe with some fuel save, you could get there with one.
Definitely be worth watching here. As Jesper Orman has the lead there at lap 120. We got 80 laps to go here in this Pocono 500 as we're getting down. Like I said, under 80 laps. Johnny, what's running through your mind here? We're at lap 120. Let's say you're the top 3 right now. What's running through your mind? What are you thinking right now?
If I'm top 3, I'm in good shape, considering what Dave just said. The leader, Chris Wilhite, who just pitted, can't go on one more stop. I know if I keep running laps, I will be able to go on one more stop. So right now, the top 3, if I'm in the top 2, I'm loving it. If a caution doesn't come out, the field's pretty spread out. So hopefully we can go green from here if I'm in the top 3. Butch Davis, on the other hand, he's kind of got a little bit of work to do. Ethan Stanley's right behind him. Hunter Smith's right behind him. So he's got a battle. Jesper and Mark, they're sitting pretty right now. Something happened to Jesper 2 or 3 laps ago, because he was about 2 seconds ahead of Mark, and all of a sudden, Mark was right on his butt. So I don't know if he got arrow tight based on the car in front of him or what, but Mark has closed that gap.
Well, let's play devil's advocate here for a minute. Within the next 5 to 10 laps, caution comes out. How much does that change your thinking?
For me, it seems like track position is key. So if the caution comes out in 5 to 10 laps, I can make it on one more stop. So I'll come down pit road, have a good pit stop, get out in the top 5, and battle from there. It seems like the hardest part of this race so far is on the restarts. When everybody's bunched up, the draft is really prevalent. So for me, it's have a good pit stop, get out in the top 5, survive the first 5 to 10 laps of the restart, and hopefully, you're in that pack like Mark, Chris, and Jesper was, where they can pull away from the field.
Yeah, just looking at the lifetime scoring here, Jesper and Mark are single file, nose to tail, as they say. Jesper has a 1 second lead, actually a less than a 1 second lead now, over Mark Murphy. And then you go back to position 3, Butch Davis, 7 seconds behind. So you got to think, if you're him, you're driving around here, you're hitting your marks, but you got to be thinking in the back of your mind, you want to caution, because 7 seconds is a lot of time to make up. I mean, I know there's we still got plenty of laps left at 124, but that 7 seconds could balloon rather quickly as well.
Exactly right. Also, one thing I wanted to look at, because I wasn't sure, is the tire wear, and the times seem to be staying steady. So there's no undercutting. You can't pit early, gain a bunch of time. Chris Wilhite, who pitted, is not gaining any time on the leaders. So when you're 7-8 seconds back, if you want to win this thing, you need to caution. If Butch is settling for a solid top 5, then he's in good position for a good points day. But it all depends on what you want. I know some guys have different strategies. Consistency is key in a long season like this. So coming away with the top 5 finish would be great. But if Butch is a guy that likes to win races, he's pulling for that caution.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if they're just gonna, if 1 and 2 are going to continue to run nose to tail, single file, that lead's going to, or that gap rather, is going to increase, as they've pushed it now to almost 8 seconds between 1 and 2, or between 3 and 1 and 2. So, if your Butch Davis is riding along right now with the number 69 machine there of Mark Murphy, nice, smooth in and out of the turns. Great ride for Mark so far. He's about less than a second behind Jesper Orman there, with 126 laps to go. While we're riding around with Mark Murphy here, Johnny, anything you see driver-wise behind the wheel that sticks out to you?
Just from participating in the 500 multiple times over my elite racing career, I'm looking at off throttle time, especially with the 2 guys in front of me. I don't know if the aero is playing any effect in it. There's not a ton of off throttle time with Mark, so he's got a good handling race car. One thing I noticed, I mentioned it before, that the lap time is not falling off, so the cars seem to have a pretty good handling, to where if you're not directly behind somebody, it's not going to be extremely aero tight. One thing that we can see that the viewers at home can't is the RPM gauge. When the RPM gauge is blinking, you're hitting your rev limiter. So Mark is still getting a draft off of the leader, Jesper. So right now, I think Mark looks like he's got a really good handle on the race car. I know Jesper's pulling away a little bit, but Jesper, in my opinion, since I've been here, Jesper's been the class of the field so far this race.
When I started following IndyCar, I find the steering wheel, following the Dallara model style car, I find that the steering wheel to be so interesting to learn about, and all of the adjustments that a driver can make, all of the data that is basically right there at the driver's fingertips and hands.
It's unbelievable. It's a computer. Your steering wheel is a computer. There's so many gadgets and adjustments that you can make. But in IndyCar, you don't have a dash. You don't have a whole right side of a race car that you can make adjustments on. In IndyCar, it's a cockpit. So all your adjustments have to be made on the steering wheel. So yeah, that is your computer. It's your lifeline, and it's extremely high tech. You see it in the Formula One as well. But it seems like all the open wheel cars outside of dirt racing, open wheels, their steering wheel is extremely high tech.
Yeah, that's definitely the brains, I think, behind the operation for sure. As we're on lap 130, 200, so we got about 70 to go, and Jesper Ormond has kind of flexed some muscle here in the last 15 to 20 laps or so. He has a almost 2 second lead over second place car Mark Murphy. He is pushing 9.5 seconds over third place car Butch Davis, as we see a car. I don't know if it was coming into the pits or lost control coming in. Dave or Johnny, do you have any clarification on this?
Looks like it's just Michael Hossack coming into the pits.
Okay,
Got Ethan
I see.
Stanley coming down now.
Yeah, so some cars get some routine service here with at lap 131 of 200. Maybe this is just again a pit strategy here, because I know both of these cars were definitely back buried in the field, so to say. So we'll see if that pays off track position wise. Still, Jesper Ormond is your race leaders. We see Butch Davis coming in that STP style livery. Coming in. Looks like we may have a few other cars coming in as well.
Yeah, these guys are running anywhere from 28 to 29 laps. I think Hossack, who just pitted, ran 27 laps in that run. I'm not sure. I think Dave said Will Height ran about 33 laps last run. So he ran a little bit longer than everybody else, but so far we've seen a few green flag pit stops.
Yeah, these cars that are coming in now, Mark Murphy is coming. They pitted on lap 99, so 34 laps.
So then I would venture to say that we got to be seeing the race leader be coming in any time, and he has got almost 11-second lead over the second place car. So if Jesper does decide to come in, he may not relinquish the lead here.
Yeah, here comes Jesper coming down pit road right now.
Well, this is going to be interesting to see here. Like I said, he has a 11-second lead.
I'm also interested to see where Chris Wilhite will come out right now. Currently, he's in 10th. Let's see where he cycles out toward Jesper is.
Well, as we see on the timing and scoring, how incorrect I was, as Jesper now has dropped to P5, and we'll see if he ends up falling anywhere else. It looks like Chris Wilhite will bump up to P9. Let's see if he's able to gain any more positions as he climbs up the leaderboard P6. But again, the race leader, as you see, was the pole winner from earlier. So he has found his way back up on the top of the leaderboard.
Wilhite's going to have a huge run on Jesper. I wasn't sure if Chris was even going to be remotely close to Jesper. But coming off pit road, Chris is right behind him, right on his butt. And let's see if he gets a draft and can make the pass on him, because that will be the battle for the lead once first through fourth can cycle through.
Yep, so we are at lap 135. So they are slowly ticking away down to 200 for this Pocono 500, as we see Jesper Ormond back up to P2. But right behind him, as you said, is Chris Wilhite at P3. Mark Murphy right there in P4 as well. So as we recycle this through, we're going to see those front cars that had an early breakaway, and then Jesper kind of put everyone in his dust, so to say. So we'll see if he'll be able to do that as well, as the gap is shrinking here down to 20 seconds for Jesper, as Robert is the pole winner, is in the pits. And just as we say that, Jesper Ormond right back to the top position, but Chris Wilhite right there in P2.
As much as I said tires, don't matter, Chris has a lot more. laps than Jesper on his tires, and you know, at the beginning of this green flag run after pit stops. My argument is going away as we're talking because Chris was starting to lose the pace on Jesper, and now he's right back on his butt, and let's see if he can make a run at him. As he takes it to the inside, and looks like he's going to clear Jesper going into turn one. Will Height the lead.
Yeah, Chris did everything that he needed to do. As we have a new race leader there, the number 7 entry of Chris Willite. But I don't think Jesper is going to, he wants that lead back ever so much. As he's right there on the back door of Chris Willite. Will Jesper kind of ride around for a little bit, or will he take advantage of that high side and try to clear Willite at lap 138 as we come to the line single file? It is Chris Willite and Jesper Ormond 1-2, and then you see, well, you can't see, but the gap there is almost 3 seconds back to Mark Murphy, 5.4 seconds back to position 4, and then Butch Davis P5 is 9 seconds behind. So what we've seen just a little bit ago is coming back to fruition, where you have the top 2 cars there running single file, nose to tail, and gapping themselves from the rest of the field.
Yeah, you asked that question, do you think Jesper's going to ride? And I would say no. I think the race is on. Mark is far enough back to where they can get double file, they can get racy, and there's no consequences. But there is one big hurdle out there, and that's Chris Willhite not being able to make it on fuel for another stop. So if I'm Jesper, I think I probably would ride around and save a little bit more fuel.
Yeah, and that might be what he does here as we are at lap 139, slowly ticking down, or ticking up rather, I guess I should say, to that 200 mark of what we're running here this evening with 60 laps left to go. And the 2 cars out in front running nose to tail. I want to pay attention to see, again, like Johnny said, is Jesper going to be patient and just sit and let this thing ride out until he decides to put all the chips towards the front of in the middle of the table when it's go time, or is he going to try to overtake Chris Willite here and kind of run the table with 60 laps to go? Definitely going to be worth watching. They have both put a huge gap on the rest of the field. Positions, 12 all the way down to 16. The difference is between 12 and 19 seconds. So these two obviously are the class of the field so far, and it's going to be interesting to see, as long as both of them keep their nose clean and nobody doesn't run out of patience. We could be in for an exciting finish between these 2 lead cars. All right, we are at lap 142 of 200. And I do believe, Dave, do you have a couple reads from our sponsors that we need to cover?
You can do the Premier Partners. TA Services has been a trusted domestic and national service third-party logistics provider, offering freight brokerage, managed transportation, warehousing and fulfillment, and cross-border logistics services to shippers around the globe. TA Services, at what matters to you. That's it. Let the TA Services team make ship happen. Blue Egg Marketing. Blue Egg is the marketing department for all businesses, all business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. Worldwide Technology Raceway. Worldwide Technology is a motor Madison, close to the Gateway Arch. Features a 1.25 mile oval that hosts NASCAR Cup and Truck, an open wheel series that They also have a 2-mile infield road course used by Speed for Trans Am, SCA, and Porsche America. On site, they have a quarter-mile drag strip that hosts the annual NHRA Midwest Nationals event, and the Kartplex, which is a state-of-the-art. And give me a couple minutes to up the.
So, unfortunately, I do have to bail out. But one thing I want to keep a note of for everybody listening at home, before I do leave, I was looking at Jesper's amount of laps before he pitted, and he ran 31 laps. If my calculations are right, Jesper's sitting around 2 to 3 laps short if he can only go 31 laps on fuel. So he is saving fuel right behind Chris Wilhite. And also keep in mind that after Jesper pitted, there was about 4 or 5 guys that stayed out and got ahead of Jesper for about 2 to 3 laps. So they got 2 to 3 laps more fuel. So that's interesting to see how that's going to play out once we hit our final pit stop. So, guys, I appreciate you having me, and I look forward to being a part of the GP next week, the entire GP, not just for an hour. But look forward to the GP and then, the big race in a few weeks.
Thanks a lot, Johnny. See you next time.
Thank you.
Good stuff there. Something to pay attention to as we are at lap 145. Definitely going to be monitoring what Jesper does here. Is he is 0.3 seconds behind Chris Wilhite at lap 146, and then you got Mark Murphy in position 3, who's 7 seconds back. Ryan Schold, P4, who is 8 seconds back. And then rounding out the top 5,
we are under caution.
Butch Davis at 9 seconds back, as we are under caution.
Like maybe for Matt Quick.
Let's do that. And then, Dave, I don't want to do this, but I do need to step away as well.
Okay.
I know. You got big shoes to fill.
All right. Thanks, Derik. Have a good evening.
Hey, you too. Thank you.
All right, so Mike Quick involved in the flag here. To me, running by himself, had down the backstretch. All right, going into the turn. Looks like he got a little high. Able to collect it through the corner. I'm not seeing yellow's going to. Oh, he gets in the outside wall a little bit there. I don't know if he bent anything. Yeah, sorry, not really. I can check. Oh, okay, I see now. Don't see. Mike Quick was coming out of the turn 3. It hit the wall the outside and went back to the got a little bit to the inside of the wall straight, but wasn't really enough to cause a caution. But then he lost control after he got past the end of the pit wall. Step away and take a couple break here. Try to get you to the
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We just went back green, and we had a big wreck here. Several cars involved. Chris Samard involved. Joe McAdory, Don Hunter, Justin Wadsworth, Robert Smith, Chris Walker. I can take back a little. I'm running with Chris Samard right now. 37 car. Taking the green. and he gets into the outside wall and bounces back up in front of the field, and that collects 2 or 3 other cars. All of those cars just really had nothing they could do, or just bounced hard off the outside wall, then back to the inside, and then the other cars behind it trying to avoid him coming across, kind of get collected. Yeah, there was no path through for several cars, if not involved in crash. Also, bad visuals. Back when we go back green. All right, welcome back. I got a couple of friends to lend a hand. Justin Fortner joining me. Right. Bail me out, guys. This is my uncomfort zone. People were watching before they went to the break. I think they got it because I told them I'm not an announcer, I'm a producer. Thanks for coming in here and helping me out.
Absolutely. I figured, I'd just throw it in the wall here, jump in the booth with you, and try to make this race even more exciting than it already is.
Well, some people will do anything to help a show, so thanks, Justin.
That's right. And you're better at announcing than you think. You do a great job with Gerald there on Sunday nights. You just don't like to hear yourself talk. You don't think you sound good, but you sound just fine.
I think I do okay when it thinking that I have to carry potatoes being.
Well, you're the number one guy at ERN, so. But it looks like we are down to the final 43 laps. I'm not sure about fuel windows in this car. Justin, you might be able to help us out here. They going to be able to make it from here without another pit stop? We looking for pit road here at some point?
Yeah, we're going to be needing pit road at least one more time. That car leading in front's got about 28, 29, depending on where he has his fuel mixture at. But if you're following in the draft, you can make it probably. You're going to be pushing it on 33 laps, but if you really lower that fuel mixture down and just kind of cruise, you could definitely stretch it. So I would imagine pit stops coming. Tires don't do much here. I would probably say in the next 25, 30 laps, try to see a undercut.
Now, I dipped my toe in the water in this series last season, and I could not figure out for the life of me the fuel numbers. Now, with this autofill feature that is in iRacing now, everybody's probably going to be taking a little bit of a short fuel load here and having pretty quick stops, I would expect, right?
Yeah, so one thing I noticed during the race, I actually tried to take a little less fuel and try to get up in the field. This car's, they released a new tire model. It reminds me a lot of the Cup car here, Chris. It's hard to pass, and if you get out of that draft, I mean, you're pretty much toast. You got to get back in line as fast as possible. So, yeah, but I don't know. You really don't gain much just because you can't pull away.
Well, all right, and I believe this is radio style, correct, Dave? So they're just seeing some live timing and scoring. So let's try my best hand at being Barney Hall here in MRN style. See what I can figure out here. We got Jesper leading down into turn 1, followed by Mark Murphy, Robert Maleska. Maleska. We got Colin Kolpa. in fourth, and Kevin Burrell. Is that any relation to Ethan Burrell there in fifth?
I have no clue. We'd have to ask.
So right now, yeah, I guess we'll have to ask Ethan. But right now, we got 19 guys on the lead lap out of the 45 that started the thing.
We had a pretty big field here as they're coming down the front straight away. It's really going to be single file here, kind of like you see. A lot of the guys up front been minding their P's and Q's, and about 10, 12 cars back is where you see a lot of the passing and guys trying to make a move.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of different lines. So you want the draft in the straightaway, like you mentioned, and like it was when we raced here in the Cup car a few weeks back. But it appears that when they get to the corners, they're fanning out everywhere, trying not to follow the guy in front of them.
Oh, absolutely. And you'll notice, too, I haven't seen it much with the front guys here, but you're really running the high line in turn 3, which is really odd for Pocono, especially in IndyCar. Normally you're diving that nose down, but as you see kind of out throughout the back of the field, you got a lot of guys running up top.
Yeah, we got a lot of guys running close here. We got a close battle here for fourth. We'll see what happens when they get to the corner. They're going to be side by side at P4. Just for a second, back in line. And that is Colin and Jiao.
Al Ritter.
See, I'm not used to having to do all these names. No, these guys show up for the Xfinity Series. Oh,
hey,
Jiao just about. Jiao's going to get a big run here as Colin nearly got the wall off the tunnel turn.
Jiao's been quick all race. See if he can complete the inside pass. That bottom line, you can't get a run. He just has to fall back behind Colin there.
Yeah, and that's crazy. As much as he had to get out of the throttle there running fourth, Colin had to get way out of the throttle, and the pass still could not be made. Because right now, that is our closest battle on the racetrack here towards the front as Jasper still leads. We still got the same front three, Jasper, Mark, and Robert. Colin seems to be struggling a little bit right here, but as I say that, he's kind of driving up in the draft here as well. Struggles out of the tunnel. That's the second time in a row. He's really struggling here out of the tunnel turn. They're going to be side by side here down into turn 3. We will see if the pass can be made by Zhao this time. It looks like it will, as he is going to slide right up in front of him and into P4.
You really got to drive it deep, and Zhao definitely did that, driving that deep into turn 3. If you get a big enough run, you can clear him, but you really slide up in the nose cone, and lucky he didn't make contact there out of turn 3.
And Colin's going to get a big run here. We're going to go down side by side once again here at P4. Colin looks like he's going to lift early, though. Thought better of that, maybe because of that push he's got in the car, and decided he didn't want to go down in there underneath somebody. I think that's going to settle that position now. I don't think he's close enough to get a run at the end of the front stretch here.
It's interesting, Chris, going back to our Cup Series race here, that bottom line in the tunnel turn, you think it'd be quickest way around, but you can gain a lot of momentum on that high line. It just gets a little sketchy coming out of the exit of the tunnel turn. You might tap the wall and be in a whole heap of trouble.
Yeah, and now Colin is having to fight off Kevin as Kevin's taking a look here to the inside for that 5th spot. I think Colin's really falling off here, maybe struggling with some push. Is that something that you guys have fought on the long run tonight there, Justin? Some push in the nose? It looks like Colin's really struggling right now and backing up.
So that's interesting. I'm watching Colin here, and he's definitely pushing up the track. As you see, he's running the outside line out of 3. You don't get a lot of that. You really get on the weight jacker. I was running about +4, +5 there. And the car really starts to settle down as the fuel load gets a little lighter, and it really starts to get it underneath it, and you can really grip it.
Yeah, and right now that is still our closest battle. Maybe closing in here 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Might be tightening up with Mark Murphy running 2nd. But taking a look back to the field, Michael Hosick is running 19th, and he's 12 seconds off. Does not appear that car is running quite like it should. I'm not sure if he picked up some damage or what. But back towards outside the top 15 here, we got Chad Frankenfield and Ethan Stanley, which that's a surprise for me to see those two guys running outside the top 15 here.
So Frankenfield is under power here. He, if he is in front and doesn't have a car in front of him, he is about 4 to 5 miles an hour slower. But as you see him kind of tucking behind Ethan Stanley here, really just trying to maintain pace and make it to the end.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned, it's single file really throughout most of this field. Even when you catch somebody, it's a lot of the things that we fight here in the Cup Series, like you keep mentioning, talking about. This is similar to the Cup car, and at a lot of these bigger tracks like Pocono, something we'll see at Michigan, and some other things in the next gen car.
Frankenfield gets a little wide there and smacks the wall at the end of turn 2. Don't know if he has any damage. Car looks okay. Sorry to interrupt you, Chris, but definitely a moment there for the 15 car.
All good, man. Something happened out here on the racetrack. We got to talk about it, and doesn't look like he lost a whole lot of the gap that he had there. Even didn't lose a whole lot of lap time. Looks like maybe 0.3 of a second all he gave up.
We'll see. This car, as fragile as it is actually can be a tank at times. He kind of hit the wall pretty square there. I would imagine he's okay. Maybe, I don't know, a little aero damage, but nothing too crazy. I think he should be all right and make it here to the end. Back up front, one thing we definitely have seen is a little bit of the snake, kind of like the backstretch of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is a little bit of a factor here, kind of snaking up and down, trying to cut that draft as much as possible.
Tell you one thing, though, our leader here, Jesper, is driven off and left everyone else. No one else is even close enough at this point. I don't believe anybody's getting a toe off of that car. He's got nearly a full second over Mark Murphy. Mark's kind of starting to stack him up behind him, which tells me these guys are a little better than Mark. But with the how hard it is to pass out here, it's just like they get to that certain spot and they can't really get any closer to Mark.
He has come back to the field a little bit, though. Last pit stops, the green flag pit stop, he had about 11-second lead.
Oh, and as I say that, Mark has given up 2 spots here. Robert has gotten around him for second. Mark has now just lost another spot here to Zhao down into turn 1, and Mark has now backslid to 4th. And we will see if these guys can work together and run down the leader and tighten this battle up just a little bit more.
Top 9 are inside their pit.
One thing I'd like to call out, if you look at Zhao and Mr. Murphy there in the 4th spot, they are both up 23 spots respectively from where they started. So pretty cool to see them kind of fight through the field there.
Colin Culpo's in the pits.
Well, you just mentioned that they're in their pit window. Now here we go. He's going to be the first guy to pit. Let's see how... and I'm hearing a lot of chatter over race control here about some pitting this time. How long do you think these leaders will run right here, guys? Do you guys think they'll run it out? They're going to try to pit here and not let these other guys get on. Oh, our leader right here diving for pit road.
Yeah. I think as you see our leader here, Jasper, start to come through pit road, it's going to be kind of follow the leader here. He's kind of setting the tone. You really need a good out lap and in lap here with green flag pit stops.
Yeah, and Mark Murphy's going to come down right behind. A lot of guys are coming down right behind him. Here comes Ethan Stanley. We will have to see if our new leader here. And one thing that might have led to him pitting is they were coming up on a lap car, and that lap car now is right out in front of Robert. As they come off of turn 3, this Robert pit, he is not pitting just yet. He's going to stay out another lap.
With him having that toe, I think he could probably stretch this maybe 1, maybe 2 more laps, see if he can underfuel it a little bit and be quicker for the end.
Yeah, and right now he's got guys blending now who are coming off of pit road. This could be a little bit sketchy here for our race leader as he tries to navigate all these cars down the Long Pond straightaway here. Head down into the tunnel turn. And a ton of traffic. He's going to have to lift there.
Got around both of them. Beautifully executed by our leader here.
Have to wonder if that hurt the lap time there, where he caught that car. We come across the finish line here, see what his lap time... He'd lost about 0.2 over his previous lap.
Bitter, Troiano, and Burrell all back in. Leska now the last car out.
So what do you think this is here, Justin? You think this is him just trying something different, knowing he wasn't going to be able to run down the leader and pass him, or is this just his strategy?
I'm going to be honest. Robert was our pole sitter here. He's been fast as he's going through turn 2. He's just been quick. I think his thought process is hope the guys that are pitting get stuck behind lap traffic, and he's kind of got some clean space in front of him. If he can really just suck into this draft and follow, I think he might be good coming into the pits and coming out and be ahead of our guys that already pitted.
Tons of traffic here for our leader. Taking a look here at the Jasper machine, he is got plenty of clear racetrack right now. Nothing out in front of him. Actually, the next car behind him is going to be Robert. As Robert navigates another lap car here. And that lap car that he just navigated by was Kevin Burrell, who is currently 9th as we cycle through these pit stops. But I believe our leader is going to pit right here. Here they come off of turn 3. He stays low, comes down the pit road right here at 25 laps to go. A great pit in. We will have to see how they blend off here, see if he's able to make up time on the leader before pit stops as Robert hits pit road. There are still about 5 other guys who have yet to pit.
We'll see where Robert blends out of the pits here. Should be a relatively quick stop. Tires don't take too long if you're fueling it up completely from an empty tank. Probably about a 7.5 second stop. Looks like he is already out and away.
And Jasper is going to come down across the line. Robert is going to be blending in turn 1. I believe this pass should be made here down the Long Pond straightaway. I don't know how long it takes to get these puppies up and running, but
it's going to be close here. Jasper's really going to have to throw it into the tunnel turn here. Looks like he's got a good slipstream coming into turn 2. I don't think he's going to have enough. Oh, he makes a move, though. He got it. Robert's on those cold tires. It's going to be hard for him to, defend anything there. So would imagine that's a little bit of gamesmanship, just giving him the spot and follow behind here for our final.
Here we go. He is really close out of turn 3. He's going to have a big run down the front stretch, I believe.
I don't
That's
think
a
Jasper
net
has
gain.
enough help from front, too. I think he might get him here.
Here we go. That's a big gain for him there. Robert with a big gain. He's going to throw it down to 1. He's going to take the spot back for what will be the lead after pit stops cycle out. As we still have Hunter Smith, Bill Colley, Michael Hosick, and Chris White. I believe is that the pronunciation?
Chris Wilhite. He's pitted now.
Wilhite. And we've got a swap again. Jasper goes back around him. At what point do you mirror drive the guy behind you and try to take his line away if you're racing like this at this point?
I think they have already hit the window for that. I would imagine once we get completely through our pit cycle here, you'll start to see them snaking down the front straightaway.
Another big run. He's going to look to the inside, and they are going to change that spot once again. But we saw him do this just the last lap, and Jasper's going to get a run right back. Robert gives him the top. Didn't even try to defend, really. Go down into the tunnel turn. And they are coming up on a slower car at this point. That's going to force him to run up the track. The gap now is widened out enough to where we will not see that slingshot at the end of the front stretch from Robert this time.
Looking at the 54 car here, see if he's coming in to make his final pit stop. He is staying out on the track. Very curious to see your pit strategy here. Don't know if he short pitted there and has a little bit more fuel than everybody else. I would highly doubt he has enough to make it, but he's probably in fuel mixture 5 here trying to make it to the end.
Do you think Hunter can make it to the end?
It would be Alexander Rossi style fuel save from the 2016 Indianapolis 500. I don't know if it's possible, but I've seen crazier things. A random yellow here could definitely change things for the entire field.
And we are going to swap again. Robert is going to once again slingshot down into turn 1 and take this lead back. Got a nice gap. Jasper's not going to be able to return the favor here before they get to the tunnel turn. He's going to have to follow him through the tunnel turn as we are coming to 20 laps to go here at Pocono.
A lot of just swapping back and forth here between our eventual first and second place cars. Looks like Jasper's running that outside line, trying to get as much clean air out of turn 3, get that strong run down the front straightaway, and see if he can get a run here on Robert into turn 1.
Does not look like he's close enough.
One thing you'll see, too, is Jasper really likes that outside line in turn 1 as they're heading towards the tunnel turn. Robert has been running that bottom line all race. You really lose a lot of momentum, but if you hit it right, you can really undercut somebody. It looks like Jasper just made the pass for the lead in turn 2.
Yeah, he made the pass back. Here we go into turn 3. He is close enough this time. I think he will get the big run off of 3, be able to slingshot him again. If this is the race we're going to have here for the last 20 laps, I think that we're in for a pretty good show here, as they have now cycled to 3rd and 4th, as Hunter Smith and Michael Hosick are still out here stretching their fuel. Hunter Smith is actually coming to pit road right now.
Gonna need a pretty quick stop here for the 54 car as he's making the slow track down the pit lane.
Yeah, I don't think that the stop, if he had the best stop of the day or the year in this series, I don't think he could still come off pit road anywhere near these leaders.
I'm gonna have to agree with you there, Chris.
As now they are moved up to 2nd and 3rd, and they are side by side. Looks like the pass is going to be made here. Jasper has to get way out of the throttle. That's going to leave a big run there to Robert.
What I really think they're doing here as they're swapping spots, exiting turn 2, really just kind of sizing each other up. What kind of run can you get from turn 3 down the front straightaway? Can you make a last lap pass? Can you make a last turn pass? Where do you need to make the pass? Really trying to figure out where they can, do it and then hold off the position.
One thing I have noticed here with the way these runs seem to be happening for these guys is I think if you're going to make a last lap pass, you're going to have to do it between turn 1 and turn 2. I don't think you get enough of a run going into 3. And from what I've seen here with these runs, you're not getting the run soon enough on the front stretch to do it off of 3 before you get to the line.
I think you're right, Chris. Just jumping out of the... Ooh, Jasper got way wide there. Almost hit the exit of turn 2, but seems to be okay right on the back wing of Robert. See if he has a good turn 3 exit. Not terrible. He's just still probably 2-3 car lengths back as he's going down the front straightaway.
Just get such a big run. See, it's right here between pit exit and turn 1, I think, is where they're able to slingshot. So I just don't think you're going to be able to wait that long on the last lap. As now this is for the lead, so this will count as lead changes every time.
So as Jasper takes the lead in turn 1, Robert is on the inside going into the tunnel turn. They are side by side through the tunnel turn. Robert gets the lead. I guess my question I would pose to both of you, where would you want to make this pass? So obviously, turn 1, you can have a big run, but looks like you just can't hold them off going into turn 2.
I think for me personally, if I can make it down the front stretch as we're taking the white, I would. That's where I would love to make the pass and then defend his lane, like run up in front of him in turn 1. Like if every time these guys have been really nice so far, as we've got another pass here as Robert loses the spot back. Now he's going to slingshot back around him. But I would try to make that down into 1 and then run in that high lane in 1 and force him to go to the bottom and keep your momentum up. Or maybe he just tries to follow you to the corner and pushes. I think if you can do that and take away the lane there in turn 1, they won't get the run back at you going into the tunnel turn.
Really interesting here watching Jasper. As he exits turn 1, he always drops below. I don't know if he's trying to defend that spot or if he's just loose coming off the turn and almost hitting the outside wall.
Yeah, and these guys now have a 3.5 second gap over 3rd, 4th, 5th. 5th is 6 seconds back at this point. Taking a look here as they come up on a slow lapped car. Going to catch him right here at the exit of the tunnel turn. That's not going to be good for our second place runner. He has to hesitate just a little bit there in the 60 machine.
Looks like Robert's going to pull away a little bit here. Don't think we'll see a pass into 1 as Jasper's trying to get back in that slipstream and set up his pass for the final few laps here.
Just the run at the end of the front stretch. Even as far back as he was, he still got such a big run. Not enough to make the pass, but the momentum from that run in the draft there is just, it's incredible to see.
Another interesting thing I think you want to consider, when I was running in the race, you couldn't use the new auto fuel feature. It was automatically set to 1 extra lap. So if you're out front running by yourself, are you burning more fuel? What's going to happen? Did they put enough fuel in the car?
Yeah, that I don't know enough about these cars. As right now he's got a big run here. It's going to pull down, take the lead. We got us another lead change. He comes up off of turn 1. Robert's going to have a big run back at him if he wants to take it. It looks like he will take that run. And they will swap the lead for the second time this lap as they go through the tunnel turn. What I'm curious about is what if Robert, right here as we're watching him through 3, he turned to the bottom instead of running the top. What happens if Robert runs the top there? Does he see that? Does the 60 machine see that in time to turn underneath him? And what happens if he follows him through that corner? Will that thing just push and be like a plow box down there?
So you get a little bit of push out of the corner exit if you do follow him on that high line. Not too bad. One thing that we noticed through the races, you can actually drop the car down to 4th gear in turn 3, and it really makes that front end sit, and you can have a pretty good exit.
We are coming to just 10 laps to go this time. Wow, it's as close as I've seen anybody enter turn 3 behind somebody. I'm guessing Robert could have really upset that car if he would have entered high there. And Jasper's going to come right back down the front stretch. He's going to have a big, big run.
Gonna make the move into turn one. Jasper completes it. Robert had not the best turn one there, lost about 3 car lengths as they're heading down the back straightaway towards turn two. Robert making a great run. Looks like he's gonna dip to the inside. He's gonna complete the pass before they even hit it.
Yeah, right now I think Robert is getting the runs where you need to have him here to win the race. Like if they keep flipping like this in the spots they're flipping, Robert's going to win this race. So I'm guessing that Jasper's thinking the same thing here, and maybe doesn't make the move down into one time and tries to get the run to make the move into the tunnel turn so he can flip where he's taking this lead. And as I say that, he's going to stay behind him in turn one, run the high side. This should allow him to get a run down this Long Pond straightaway. Not sure if he's close enough, though.
Let's see if he throws it in there. He's got a great run. He goes to the inside. They're 2x2. Jasper
wow, he threw it in there.
Just threw it in there. That may be a move that we see, as the coming laps come down. Just trying to get as much track position, because I really think as they're exiting turn two, Jasper has about a 4 car length lead. I don't think, if you complete that pass going into two, I don't know if you have enough momentum to get him back before the start finish line.
Yeah, I agree. I like what he did there. That's what I was thinking there. He needed to change what the outcome was going to be. Passing him into one wasn't going to win him the race, and now they're going to be swapped again. Robert's leading again down Long Pond here, and he's a little further out front. They're going to be a little closer to the corner, and he's going to send it in there again on him. Now Jasper's out front.
Robert is real close going into turn three, running the high line. Jasper's down low, drifts up in front of Robert. Still about a 4 car length advantage coming off of turn three, Chris. I think the move's in two. I think you're right as Robert dips to the low line here going into one.
Yeah, he runs down there and makes that pass again. And we got bright sunshine now down there in turn one. And the last time between the tunnel and turn three, it looks like a storm is brewing as it is getting very dark. He's going to send it in here on the inside once again down into the tunnel turn. Makes the pass once again.
Robert, as they're going through turn three, he's so close to the back of Jasper, but running that high line, I don't know if his car's tight, maybe messing with the weight jacker here a little bit, but doesn't seem like he's getting the run that he needs to get off of turn three as he dives to the inside here in one.
Once again, a lead change down into one. Now they go down the Long Pond, and each time they come off of turn one, I think, oh, he's not close enough this time. And then all of a sudden, man, it's just like he hits another gear, and he's going to make this pass once again down in the tunnel turn. Ooh, maybe I had to lift a little bit out of the tunnel turn that time. Might have pushed just a little bit. Just 5 to go here at the line. And each time they come off of turn 4, like you mentioned just a lap ago, it's about 4 car lengths. And Robert overcomes that, takes the lead down into 1, and he leads the race from right here in turn 1 all the way down to the entry of the tunnel turn. And Jasper makes the pass back. So now Robert needs to change the narrative and be patient and not take that pass into 1 and try to get it to where he's passing back into the tunnel turn again.
I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. We might get to the point as Robert has the best run I've seen into turn 3, running that high line, Jasper down low. I really think if Robert wants to, they can take it too wide into the tunnel turn, which will really put Jasper at a disadvantage as you see Jasper starting to snake down the front straightaway, just trying to cut that slipstream as much as possible.
Yeah, and like I mentioned just a few laps ago, it is just a 2-horse race here with just 4 to go. No one else is within 5 seconds. 3rd, 4th are pretty close there, about 5-3, 5-6. 5th and 6th, 7-6, 7-8. It's just a 2-horse race. And one thing I just noticed right there, Robert took the lead down into 1, and he had a big enough gap to where Jasper did not make the run back and is following him through turn 3 right now. So we come down to take 3 laps to go at Pocono.
We'll see what kind of run Jasper gets here. I like Robert out of turn 3 a little bit more than Jasper. Seems to be a little bit stronger as Jasper's diving to the inside again in turn 1, just swapping back and forth. We'll see. Robert's got a great run out of 1.
I feel like it was too great, though. He did not get that big slingshot, so he's just going to beat him to 3, or beat him to 2, but he didn't have that big gap to kind of drive by him with. Ooh, a little tight there. I think Jasper was a little, was as close as I've seen these guys run to each other through the tunnel turn. So we come down to take 2 laps to go. Who's your, if you had to bet money right now, who would you put money on?
I'm going to have to go with Robert, who is snaking down the front straightaway. I just think his car's too strong. He, obviously, our pole sitter here, fending off Jasper into turn 1. I just think my money's on Robert here. How about you guys?
Oh, man. I was going to go the other way, but it looks like Jasper just got really tight off of turn 1 there, and they head down to turn 2 here with just a lap and a half to go.
Probably our biggest gap we've seen, but Jasper has a
something happened to Robert there. All of a sudden, Robert lost all his momentum through the tunnel turn, like he had to lift, or something happened to that race car.
White flag here at Pocono. Robert way down low, snaking down the front straightaway, trying to break up that slipstream. Jasper looking on the inside. He will not. Robert takes the lead, or holds the lead in 1. Jasper trying to make it back in 2.
Here it is. I think he's too far back. As they snake down the long pond straightaway, they run all the way down on the apron there just about. We get to turn 2. It's about a car length and a half. He's following real close.
Great run.
We're
2
side
by 2
by side.
going into turn 3.
We got Jasper on the top, Robert on the bottom. They come off of turn 3. They're looking at the checkered flag. It is going to be Robert.
What a race.
Those last 2 laps, it looked like Robert almost just lifted through the tunnel turn. I don't know if it was him or if it was or Jasper, like just running through there wide open behind him. Either way, it made for a great race there at the end. Jiao will come home 3rd. Eric Troiano comes home 4th. Mark Murphy in 5th. Colin Culpa in 6th. Chris Wilhite in 7th. Seb Alexander, Butch Davis, and Kevin Burrell round out the top 10.
Back in 11th, you have Ryan Scholl 12th, Jacob Weiss, Chad Simpson came home 13th, Ethan Stanley 14th, Hunter Smith 15th, Beto Sousa, probably pronounced that wrong, I apologize, came home in 16th, Chad Frankenfield 17th, Bill Colley 18th, Michael Hosick 19th, and Robert Smith rounding out your top 20.
Well, this is probably my only IndyCar broadcast of the season, and it was a pretty exciting finish there.
Oh, you just got to join. Come on over and race with us, Chris. We'd be happy to have you. We're going to be at the
Indy car is still painted, ready to go, right?
I believe it is, Dave, but I don't know that we got a car to put it on right now. I enjoyed my one season over here in IndyCar. It was fun. It was different. I learned some things that I was able to take over to the next gen car, but I don't have what these guys have there. I couldn't put on a race like Robert and Jasper just did there for those last 25 laps.
Went back and looked at the final lap. Jasper has a pretty good run into turn 1 and just overshot the turn a little bit. Really had to let up and really gave Robert the advantage down the back straightaway.
But it was an exciting race. We had a lot of great racing there for the lead, and I thought maybe at some point they would take each other's line away, but they never really did. They kind of just said, we're just going to race it straight out and said, not going to take your line. You're not going to take my line. So we're going to race like that and kind of allowed that to happen. There was not a whole lot of blocking or defending there.
Robert starting out the year strong. Jasper as well. He is new to our league here, so he had a good first outing. Hopefully, he can keep the momentum into next week.
Well, guys, we can run a couple of commercials here while we wait to see if anybody shows up in the. Have to just right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
All right, welcome back. It does not appear we have any interviews to do tonight, so congrats to the winner for winning tonight. It was a great race there. Taking a look here at our race rundown here, you see an 11th through 28th as Robert wins the race, followed by Jasper, Jow, Eric, and Mark. And this was... Oh, it looks like we've got Jow in here for an interview. As I was just about to wrap it up, we are joined by our third place finisher. I will let you take this, Justin, as you know more about these cars and could ask way better questions than I can.
Yeah, Jow, so coming in third tonight, had some fun running with you there. I guess not enough for the end. How did the car feel? What was kind of your strategy there at the end?
Good evening, guys. The race was very difficult in the beginning. The car was very difficult to overtake. The first 50 laps, I really didn't like the car, and I was tough that it's possible to do something, and I put more weight checker, and the car feel better and better and better. I really didn't think that today I can get the result, but the race was very fun. A lot of battles, and I hope to do more fights and back to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you, and looking forward to racing you next week on the road course. Finally taking the car and turning right and left next week. But great race nonetheless, and excited to run with you next week.
That looks like it, fellas.
Yeah, I believe that was it. So thanks for tuning in tonight and watching the Warriors for 4-piece open wheel series. Tonight was the New Track Record Podcast 500 live from Pocono. Tune back in next week where you will see Justin Fortner back out of the booth and in the race car taking on the Indy GP. And Robert Hill will be back with you next week unless something unforeseen happens.
No. He will be.
Oh, no matter what happens, Robert will be back with you next week.
Yes.
It's been a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun in this booth, but I hope not to be back in this seat for the foreseeable future. Hopefully see the white and checkered flag races to come.
Or
but
you can come
appreciate
visit
you
us
both
with the
having me.
when you get a podium. You can come.
That sounds fantastic. I will take you up on that offer and hopefully see you next week.
All right, and so good luck next week, Justin, and tune in next week from the Indy. We'll be at the Indy GP. Monday we'll be back live. I believe there's a truck race Sunday night, Xfinity race on Monday. We got a cup race next Wednesday. So right now, Elite Racing Network is very busy. You can find us almost every night of the week as our 3 divisions of NASCAR are in the playoffs right now, just starting up there for the playoffs, and the Warriors for Peace Series is just getting going here. So lots of content all over Elite Racing Network. A shout out to Dave Huckleberry for all he does here at Elite Racing Network, and Chad Frankenfield for all the leagues he puts on. And we will see you back live next week.